Good afternoon, YouTube. Good afternoon, Facebook. Good afternoon, the world. Coming up today on the Gritty Business Show, we have the incredible and talented Louise Monblatt, otherwise known as the Energy Expert. So, looking forward to seeing Louise in a moment. But in the meantime,
you have to put up with this. Hi, Andrew. How are you? Good to see you.
Very well. How are you, Ed?
Best till last, they say, don't they? Yeah, very well indeed. Bouncing along as always.
Yeah.
Motivated, feeling good. Yeah, no, loads of things on. Really good, really happening. Club's doing well. So,
well, why don't we, before we kick off, introduce some of the new members of the club? But before we do that, just quickly, Ed, I just want to say hello to Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. Yvonne Taylor from For You No Worries. The missing piece of your jigsaw. Yeah, sort out all your business problems. And also the lovely Hannah Mataratsu, who's get well soon. Got COVID at the moment. But hope you feel better soon.
Seems to spread from Stroud.
Yes. So that's exciting. So welcome, ladies. And let's hit this button, Ed. So get ready for the new members.
Well, welcome, guys. So this month we have Yogesh, who's joined us from RWB Thrive. So I should say Thrive. We've had Liz Gilchrist, who's joined us from Saltire, up in Bonnie, Scotland. There'll be a second when I click another button. We've also had Elwyn Smiles join us from Welsh Wales.
Hi, Elwyn.
I'm going to finish. Justin Slipper, who's joined us from Cobra Jurassic. Well done, Louise. Fantastic job. Christopher Robertson, who's joined us from Quest West over in Bristol. And Mitesh Manek, who's joined also from Cobra Jurassic. Hey, well done, Louise. There you go.
Well done, Louise. That's brilliant. That's a verging on the spectacular, Ed, as David McKenna always tells me.
I think that's
I will say a big shout out also to Beverly Nolka. Hello, Beverly. Nice to see you.
Beverly, how are you? Bev Nolka's an inspirational person, really. So she met I think I'm right in saying, Bev will probably correct me in the comments, but she met Prince Charles and PhD and has a sort of like a support group down in the Isle of Sheppey with thousands of members and people's lives and supporting them. So hats off to Bev. She's a remarkable person.
Very good. Anyway, so Ed, there is some breaking news at the moment. So I'm going to hit this button, and when we come back, we're going to share the breaking news. So here we go. What's the story, Ed?
What is the story, Andrew? Breaking news. Are you talking about our continental aspirations?
Yes.
Oh, well. We're working with India at present to launch a Cobra Club in India. So, that's Anglo-Indian relations. Should be really, really good for us. We've got a lot of interest over there. So several hundred people already interested. So interesting stuff and good fun. So if you want to take your business into India, or you would appreciate some of the support and help that maybe some people in India could provide to your business, reduce down your costs, come and have a chat. We've got an expert in the club actually called Christina D'Souza, who runs an IT business based in India, supporting UK companies, and 10 plus members certainly joined up and have her sites working, it's cost effective and really, really good people. Well worth finding out more.
Brilliant. That's exciting news. I just want to say a quick hello to Rachel Reed. If there's an app you need, who would you contact, Ed?
Rachel Reed! If there's an app you need, contact Rachel Reed. Yeah, Rachel's great, inspirational. She does some really good work on Lifeboat, the RNLI. She's done some RNLI sites. So if you want to see a really good app working really, really effectively, chat to Rachel, find out a bit more. If you're part of the RNLI, get in touch with Rachel Reed, because she's helping some of you, I don't know what you call them, branches across the country, and doing really, really well.
Brilliant. And Beverly does agree. Yes, that's right, Ed. So you were right.
Right, otherwise I'll be in trouble. I was going to say the Queen, but I remembered it wasn't the Queen. So that's okay.
Brilliant. Anyhow, so what we're going to do, I think we should probably play this little VT, and then when we come back in the room, I think
Before you do
probably...
that, Christy's excited, just to let you know. We've had a positive impact out there in the strategy.
Christy is one of the best VAs in the country, specialising in Zoom management too. Hello, David.
Hey, good to see you, David. Long time no see. Good to hear you.
You all right? Wow, it's buoyant out there, which is great. All good. So if you've got any questions today for Louise when she comes in, then pop them in your comments, or if you want to give us a shout out to anyone, let us know, and we'll give them a shout out. So are you ready, Ed? Let's hit this button.
I'm always
and
ready.
When we come back, we will have the incredible, talented Louise Montblanc in the room.
I'm out of breath. I'm dancing away. Louise, how are you?
Welcome to the show, Louise. Great to see you here. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you very much, guys. Brilliant to see you both as well. And thank you for inviting me.
That's all right. That's okay.
Living up to your name. What the people can't see is you dancing while it's going on. So truly being the energy.
Now,
It's such a great introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. So apart from energy, Louise, we'll talk about energy in a moment and all your expertise in that area. But there's something else that you do that's involved with the Cobra Club. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling the viewers out there what that is.
I would be utterly delighted, Andrew. Thank you. So Cobra Club, most of my business comes through networking and it comes through this club. And I run a group. It's called Cobra Jurassic. It meets first thing on a Friday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Whoa.
And I'd like to oh, there it is. Thank you very much. Perfect timing. I'd also like to mention another group that I like to attend, which is called Make It Happen, where stuff happens. And that's on a Wednesday morning. And that's with a good friend of mine called Elaine Atherton.
Yeah, she's great. Elaine.
Aha, there she is.
It's almost like we pre-planned it, isn't it?
It's a good meeting, that one, because it's about sales and accountability, isn't it?
Totally, yeah.
And what sort of things do you learn at the meeting, Louise?
Okay, so for most people, a lot of people in business, it can be quite lonely because we're, for the most part, one-man bands or one-woman bands. So at Make It Happen, it does give you that element of accountability. So what are you going to do between now and next week? And then let's check up on you in the nicest possible way. So you can start thinking, I need to do a bit more of something, or I need to do a bit less of something. So today we talked about social media, the do's and don'ts on LinkedIn. But also if you remain a secret, nobody will know about you.
100%.
Absolutely.
So we need to make sure that we get out there and say something, but it's a question of what the do's and don'ts are in social media. It was brilliant. It was with someone called Laura Ann Williams, and she was superb.
She's a great speaker. It was interesting. I was reading there's a famous sales guy called Tony Robbins, and he says goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. And
Totally.
it's true, but it's always good just to say these words. They don't mean much. To actually understand how to set a goal and actually to be slightly accountable for that is such a great thing to do. And that sort of thing is happening at that club, at Hub, isn't it? It's not just setting goals. Are they reasonable? Are they realistic? Can we actually do them? Let's go back and feedback. What happened? Why didn't it happen? Why did it happen? And learning and growing. And that's really, really important in business. Sorry.
And you're absolutely right. And then Elaine shares some what she calls sales nuggets to help you get from where you are to where you want to be, because a lot of people consider themselves not to be salespeople, which I understand. But the reality is, if you want to get anywhere in business, in any business, you need to know how to convey yourself.
I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. None of us signed up to be, well, I suppose we did sign up to be salespeople when we started our own businesses.
Very few people do. Very few people start out, I'm going to be a salesperson and then try and find the thing to sell. It tends to be the other way around. That's how they come into it.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Brilliant. So in terms of obviously, just last thing about the Cobra Club, and then we'll move on. But you said all your business now comes through the Cobra Club, and that's fantastic to start with. Absolutely brilliant. But how do you use the Cobra Club? How do you generate and work through it?
Okay, so if I give a quick kind of overview, so the Cobra Club is an online platform. So you can turn up at 10 in the morning, you can chat to some people during the day, and you can leave at 5. You can go into a virtual room. I love the rooms. We've got the hot tub, which is one of my personal favorites. You've got the dark side of the moon. You've got the gypsy caravan. You've got the coffee shop. You've got the saloon. So you can go into any room. It just makes it a little more colourful. So I invite prospects to Cobra to introduce them to Cobra, as well as to talk about my business and for them to talk about their business. And then we have about 20 groups that run per week, and they all have a slightly different bent. So mine is mainly focused on personal development. Elaine's is make it happen. We've got Hannah that has a very creative orientation. We've got, what else do we have? We've got Chris Mason, who runs one. There are lots of groups that run at different times of the day and into the evening. So we've got Zaf, who runs one on a Monday evening, for example, and they all have different personalities, and there's kind of something for everyone. And then as well as that, Cobra also runs different skills training programs. So there's one about how to run your website. Louise Maggs had that one. You, Andrew, you've had a business. Yeah, exactly. And then Ed has run one about sales. Pick up the phone. How to talk to people. So they're all elements about business. We've got one about finance, about how do you make the most of your money. We've got one about wills, how to make sure that you make sure the right people get your money when your time comes, and not the tax man, preferably. So they're all designed to help.
I think you're spot on. And the I suppose for me, the bit I like is that I don't particularly like networking, but I like sitting with like-minded people and being productive and achieving things and thinking it through. So it's networking without all the formality and rules.
I also need to mention that some networking is fantastically expensive, and Cobra is very, very good value. It is incredibly good value. So £30 a month is just ridiculously good value. To say it's cheap is wrong, because that suggests that it's not good, when actually it's really great quality at a very, very affordable price. And I'm not reading a script to say that.
We Andy and I, we believe in community. So it's a community working for the benefit of the community rather than a company trying to make lots of money, which is really, really
exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
thank
you, Louise. Thank you.
There's just one last thing I'd like to mention. So you've mentioned about the association affiliation with India. One of the new guys who's just joined the Cobra Club, he's based in the south of France.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, I saw that actually. Yeah, and it just means yeah, you can network into the UK, develop all these relationships through the Cobra Club. Anywhere
Exactly.
in the world.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, the Locketts, David Lockett, who runs the Investment Lounge, they're moving to France and going to continue doing the Investment Lounge. So, this is networking without borders. It's
Exactly.
a song in the 80s about that, wasn't it?
There will be.
but it's Games Without Frontiers, wasn't it? But this is networking without borders, and it's truly liberating actually when you get involved.
The good thing is you can pack it up and take it with you, and you when you move. Same for Emma Dunlop. She's moved up. I don't know where Nottingham she's moved, so she's her network with her, which is Cobra Club. Fantastic. Yeah. All good. Anyway, Louise, so what we're going to do, we're going to play this little video. When we come back, will you tell us about the energy crisis, what we all need to do, whether we need to panic, whether we need to go out and buy a wind farm, or what do I do? So,
it's interesting. I was talking to a lady who called Phoebe. And she's wind and solar powered pretty well for the whole of her electricity. So people are changing the way they do things. We're just worried if it gets a bit dark, they might sort of drop off, come back on again when it's good.
Okay, here we go. Back in the studio.
Ready to be educated.
So, Louise, as the energy expert, what is happening in the energy market, and should we all be concerned?
Oh gosh, where do I start? Okay, so yes, we do all need to be concerned because wholesale energy rates have gone up really, really fast and very, very high. So they've gone up for a number of reasons. And actually, you mentioned wind. Last year, there wasn't enough wind for our wind farms. So that's added to the crisis. But it's just one of several elements. So last year, we had lockdown. And with lockdown, people use a lot less energy. And then energy companies needed to offset their losses by putting up the prices. And then we had this price cap that was enforced by the regulator. So that's Ofgem. They're the regulator in this country.
Yeah.
So there were quite a few very low-priced energy companies that literally couldn't factor in the difference between wholesale prices that were going up and the cap, and they went bust. And about 25 companies went bust in the space of about 3 months. So then with that, put more pressure on some of the existing companies, and actually the price cap is going up again in April. So I could go into greater depth. I think if you've got questions, I'll try and answer them. I have some knowledge, but I'm not sure how much detail to go into. I'll give it a go. Okay, so it's been pretty disastrous for a lot of people. So if you're on a fixed rate for energy, whether it be at home or in business, you're kind of okay through the woods for the moment. When your fixed rate,
unless your company goes bust.
Well, actually, if your company goes bust, then you will just be automatically transferred to another company. It's not of your choice. It's just allocated to you. And then, go on, Ed.
No, I was going to say, but your rate doesn't stay the same as it was before. It'll go to the new company's rate without.
Well, yes, that's right. So if you are in a very fortunate position and you're in a fixed rate and your company has not gone bust, then you can maintain that rate and then you can breathe more easily until that fixed rate comes to an end. and then there'll be this huge hike. So I'm seeing that, I'm on Facebook groups and stuff, that prices are going up 100%, 200%. It's a big gap. It's huge. Okay. And actually it's estimated that people are going to be paying an average of £1,200 a year more for their energy. This is just at home, not in business, than they were a year ago. It's a significant increase. It's really, really scarily high.
Phoebe, you need another windmill, just as she's watching.
But if there's no wind, it won't do anything.
No, true.
So what can we do, Louise? What should the UK population go and do? Do we all run down the street screaming? Is that going to make things better, or do we need to go and do something?
There are a few things you can do. One is you have a smart meter, so that then when you use something at home, you go, because you can see the smart meter tells you you're using more energy, and you turn it off.
Yes.
Put more clothes on, so that then your heating bills will come down a little bit.
To my dad always used to say, put another jumper on if you're cold.
Yeah, exactly. So my mum used to say the same. So honestly, think carefully about how much energy you're using. There's a phrase doing the rounds at the moment, which is not very pleasant, which is some people are going to choose to eat or heat because it's becoming that expensive. And if we talk about eating, which is something I like doing, then actually the cost of food is going up, the cost of petrol is going up, the cost of national insurance is going up, the cost of living across everything is on the up as well. So it's an awful combination across quite a few areas.
I got a question here, Louise, Beverly. She's heard conflicting stories about leaving the heating on low 24/7 on for a couple of hours in the morning, evening. What do you think?
Okay, that's a really good question. It depends on, in my opinion, it depends on what kind of home you live in. So if it's really well insulated, then it doesn't take an awful lot to heat up, and then you can just maintain it. But let's say it's a really old, very drafty place, then it's going to take much longer to heat up. I think get yourself a smart meter and then try out both. And the smart meter will tell you how much you're using, and then you'll work it out. So for me, where I live, I've got a really well insulated home. I'm fortunate I've got solar panels as well, but I don't heat my whole home. I'm a bit mean in the bathroom. I only put it on when I'm about to take a bath. but there are other rooms that are kind of warm most of the time. But I think test it out. That's what I would suggest. Smart meters, they've had a very bad press, fairly so. They're great because, like I say, they mean two things. You don't need to do meter readings. Some people just never get around to meter readings. And the other one is you can actually monitor how much energy you're using at any time. So that, I think, honestly, try that.
I've got a question for you as well. With the difference between electricity and gas. So, for instance, if I have a gas oven, is that far better?
Gas is okay. Really good question. So gas is definitely cheaper per kilowatt hour than electricity. However,
I have another question on that exact note, which is, if the wholesale gas prices are going up, how does that work? Because if gas,
thanks, Beverly. Okay, so if you look at heating your home, heating with electricity is much more expensive than heating with gas. So each kilowatt hour, which is the unit that we use to, as the unit, like you could say per gallon in petrol terms. So with heating, electricity is more expensive. However, so gas, yes, you're right, gas is going up, but it's going up from a much lower unit. So you could pick up a unit of gas for about 2.5p, and now it's 4.5. So it's a huge rise, but it's on a tiny first figure, yeah? whereas electricity was about 13, 14p per unit, and now it's about 20 to 21p per unit.
I was going to say hello to Zach. He loves that. Eat or heat.
Thanks, Sam.
Frank on, networker extraordinaire, one of the top 10 networkers in Birmingham, actually. Zaf, he's got an award.
Hi, Zaf.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. Thanks, Zaf. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to mention is that, like petrol is going to get phased out, so is gas. So gas is not a very green energy to use. Electricity, depending on how it's made, is a much greener source. So in the next 8 years, for example, you will not be able to buy a new boiler, a gas boiler. So there's going to be a huge amount of change in the industry. So personally, I've got a gas boiler because it is cheaper than electricity, but I will not have that option after 2030.
Yeah.
So we're going to have huge infrastructure changes, and I don't know exactly what they're going to look like. I'm not sure if anyone quite knows yet.
People talk about things like heat pumps, and the majority of people in the world don't understand what it is. But it's in effect the reverse of an air conditioning unit, which is an easier way of looking at it. There's a substance that boils at a temperature typically lower than 0. So it takes the heat from outside and then uses that heat into your house, but even at very low temperatures. It's quite an interesting thing.
It is, but it's also not going to be available to everybody because you need some external space to be able to put one in. But I think there are going to be all sorts of clever other ways to heat and actually to heat up.
And I think insulation, the way people build homes, etc., has got to change.
It is going to change, and so I think the industry or government have forced some changes to make us all think more about what we're doing, just like switching from petrol to electric vehicles. So one in 5 vehicles sold last year were electric, and that's going to increase. So we're going to have some huge changes. Now, I know we're not really talking about telephones, but I'll mention that as well, because in the next 2-3 years, all our landlines are going to be disconnected. So more huge change about to happen. Now, anyone over 70, more or less, in my experience, likes to use one of these, not one of these. So it's going to be another big change.
Yes.
And for any roads that have long kind of wires, overhead, they're all going to go.
Oh, do you know what? That's a positive, especially if it's someone beautiful like you do, like Regis. Yeah. Take out other things, you get better. So that there are some.
There are definitely some benefits, but it's about making adjustments. It's about keeping up with what's happening. So I've met people recently who've said, no, the phone lines aren't going to go. And I'm like, yes, they will. But whether you like it or not, it is happening.
I'm sure we'll still get charged for it. But
BT has an obligation to its customers, doesn't it? That it has to provide.
It does. It's got.
If you live in the Outer Hebrides, they have to get it to you.
It's got a legal obligation, which basically it's an expensive, very old network to maintain. So the easiest thing is to just replace it. Not that easy, but that's what they're doing instead of forever maintaining what is very, very old kit.
Yeah, and life is full of that. I mean, you go through even mobile phones and things. 10 years, 15 years, we didn't even know about them, and now we all use them, and we do adapt with change. But change is a frightening thing.
So, Louise, let's just recap over the last 10 minutes in terms of the top 3 tips that we need to go and do now after this to find out if we're in a good place. But before you answer, just watch this first.
Just love that one. I can play that one all day long and repeat. It's brilliant. Top tips, Louise? What? Give us
What
your
should we
top
be going
tips
and doing
people
now?
who
What
right
let's
now?
go
What should they do?
after this and the 3 things or 2 things or 5 things we need to go and
Okay, not to put
Straight
too
away.
fine a point on it. Speak to me. So
do. Okay.
I do a review of people's bills. It sounds really boring. I get a massive amount of satisfaction from it. And I will look to see if you're on the best rate, because I offer the best rate. The best rate right now in the country, I offer it. So whatever's going on with the price hikes, with the caps that the government is setting up for April, I know, not that I think, I know I can offer the best rates.
Brilliant.
So just like to give people some peace of mind. What I do, I don't put any pressure on people. I'm just here to save money, simplify the bills, make life that little bit more comfortable. If people want to go for it, that's great. And if they don't, do you know, there are 28 million people I can talk to instead. That's fine.
Brilliant. Well, there's a fantastic glowing review. I won't read it all, but fantastic glowing review there from Hannah. So thank you, Hannah, who
Well,
loves the
get
services
well
she
soon.
gets. So that's brilliant. That's really good.
To say she's evangelical about the service would be an underestimate. It really is. I
Yeah,
believe,
she is.
and it's right. You know, it's
So-
interesting. I heard a stat the other day, Andy, as well. Tell me if I'm wrong, Louise. Is that only about 10% of the population switch? So about 90% of the population just stick with what they've got. And
That's about right.
Paying more money, and a lot more money than they need to be paying, because they can't be bothered. So 1,000, 2,000 quid a year in some people's cases, because they can't be bothered, just to make what takes 5 minutes to change. It's a remarkable
Okay,
thing.
so I can beat that. I met a guy who I can save about £4,000 to £4,500
A lot of money.
on his bills. Bearing in mind, costs nothing. I take care of it. I am absolutely convinced this guy was being overcharged because his meters were ancient. And I said to him, I can offer a track and trace, and we're not talking COVID here, track and trace on his meters to ensure that they were actually metering correctly. So to me, I saw pound signs. I saw that he would have a huge rebate from his existing supplier, who's a very, very well-known supplier. You can fill in the gap. And you know, he didn't do it. He said, you need a new boiler. I said, oh yeah, we can quote you for that, because we do that as well. And exactly the same boiler, same work, everything, £2,000 less than what he was quoted with that same very, very well-known company.
It's amazing.
So, you know, it's all I do is I offer an option, and if people want to take it, that's great. And if they don't, that's entirely up to them.
People think
But
it's hassle, and it isn't, is it? It's a very
It isn't.
straightforward thing to do. The hassle is done by your end, not by their end. So they basically, in effect, sign a bit of paperwork to say do it, and everything else is done for them. Would that be?
There's so much more than just energy. So energy is on the top of mind awareness for most people at the moment.
Tomato.
But actually, we also have a thing called bill protector. So if people are worried about losing their job, which is a harsh reality for a lot of people at the minute, if people are worried that they need their actual income replacing, we do income protector. So we do 2 things to help people have that peace of mind. And then anything you shop for anywhere in the country, and actually if you go abroad, anywhere abroad, you'll pay less for.
Sounds
You
brilliant.
know, it is. I mean, I am biased, but I love to pay less. If I can pay less on anything, I'm there. and actually, just going back to the Cobra Club, when I first found out about this organisation, I was given an opportunity to come half price. I'm like, yes, you're speaking my language.
And in fact, to do that on top, we do free virtual tours. And if you want to come to a meeting for free, come to a meeting for free. Brilliant. We just get to network more. So it's
Exactly.
why not? But again, people will sit and tell me they've got no business, but they won't come to a half an hour meeting. It's
There we go. Anyway, guys, what I'm going to do now, Louise, because we've been talking for a bit, we're going to find out a little bit more about you. Normally we just ask 1 question. We're going to ask 2 questions this week.
I've got to go.
It's a random button, so I don't know what button's going to happen, but we're going to press this one. and you'll get about 20 seconds to think about it. So here we go.
Okay.
That last bit is Andy getting up in the morning. Have you noticed?
No.
That is a brilliant question. Absolutely brilliant. Right. So for those that don't know, I live in the gorgeous Lyme Regis. Now, Lyme Regis is a really pretty place, but it's also where dinosaurs were first discovered. And there was a woman called Mary Anning who had no recognition or acknowledgement at the time because she was a woman. She had no formal education. She was absolutely terribly poor woman. And she discovered dinosaurs just about half a mile from where I live. So I would love to go back to the time when she first discovered an Ichthyosaurus. And I'm impressed that I could pronounce that. But you'll find it in the Natural History Museum in London. But she found loads of dinosaurs. It's a very unstable cliff area in Lyme. And basically there are layers and layers of dinosaurs. Dinosaur bones and fossils, basically.
Amazing. And her story is one of women's power, women coming to the fore. It's quite remarkable actually, because most of her big discoveries were credited to men who decided to take her work and her discoveries and the way she did and declare it as their own.
It's despicable, really.
Absolutely.
The town has finally commissioned a wonderful statue of her, and she had a little dog called Trey, and the statue. So I've seen it on Facebook. It's not out there yet. Oh yeah, it was a brilliant film, but you know, I'm sure she wasn't gay. but
It's kind of an edge.
It was filmed in town, and it was magical to see the film. It's like, oh, I know that bit. Okay.
In the back.
So we've got one more question for you, Louise.
Okay.
So, so go again. You ready for this?
Okay. Right. 18.
Were you a wild chick?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't a very confident 18-year-old, not really. I was quite an unhappy 18-year-old. My parents had just split up, and I was desperately trying to find some roots, really. And actually, not long after I turned 18, I moved to Manchester to start a new life. So I come from London and I went to live in Manchester. And my main focus, to be honest, was to have my own home. And I bought my home at 20, little sort of Coronation Street type little back-to-back type house. Anyway, so I would tell myself, follow your entrepreneurial streak. So at 18, I was cleaning, babysitting, ironing, dog walking, and I was earning some really good money. I was in college, but I earned some really good money. And I used to think, oh, I could start an agency. I didn't call it an agency. I didn't know what that meant, but I thought, oh, I could do that, but I didn't do it. Oh, I could do this, but I didn't do it. And actually, there was definitely an entrepreneurial kind of stripe, thicker than a streak, probably. But it was dormant for a really long time. and what I do now is really natural. And I would have told my 18-year-old version, get on with it.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting. So going right back to the beginning with the Cobra Club, we get people who come in with that entrepreneurial streak and don't have an idea of how to make that successful, and they become successful through the advice they get from people like you. It's fun.
Well, one of the things we were talking about make it happen was the P word, patience. A lot of people just don't have patience. They go from I'm saying something to you must buy it, and actually we don't work like that. We need to mull things over. We need to think things through. We need to come to a point where something is either painful enough that you make the move, like the bills are big enough or too big or whatever, or your circumstances are, yes, I'm ready to, whatever it is, get wedded or buy or write that book, whatever it is. But timing is really, really important. And most people just don't give themselves that time or other people time.
I think people undervalue what they do. So there's a quote from Oprah Winfrey, isn't there? Something like, when you undervalue what you do, the world will undervalue who you are.
Yeah.
They believe that what they're doing it has no value, so therefore they don't do it. And actually, don't. In fact, if you believe in it, value it, and other people will value because of that. So you'll find your audience if you value what you do. So yeah.
Exactly. Although I'm in the odd position where I really value what I do, and yet what I offer is free. So a lot of people, therefore, the temptation is to not value it. Or what would I know about whatever it is? Yes, I've got a long history of working in psychiatry and working in the NHS and being a manager, and I'm qualified in all sorts of stuff that has got nothing to do with my actual business, but they're all useful skills that I can just pull in on an as-and-when basis.
Fantastic.
But because it's not a chargeable expense, a chargeable skill, the temptation is to think it doesn't have any value when it's actually amazingly valuable.
I agree. We I'll just quickly, Andy, our video content is produced by Hannah beautifully, and Hannah's a classic example of that. Oh, what I do isn't actually what you do is really, really necessary. And makes a difference. So it's understanding that and sort of doing that. Andy, who does do our videos?
That's a very good question, Ed. Let's find out, shall we? Wonderful. Thanks for that, Hannah.
And actually, she is wonderful as a person, but I think her actual the creative content is amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking that. So, I just want to say a big thanks to Hannah. Hope you get over COVID soon. Thinking about you. So, Louise, we're rapidly running out of time. Let's just
Okay.
go. So, how do we get hold of you? How does the process work? Let's say
Okay,
I need to pay bills. What do I do?
Okay, so you can ring me, you can email me. Oh, thank you. Oh no, wrong email address. Don't use that one.
Okay. What is your email address?
You can't
I'll use
off
that one.
these days. You try, but you can't. It's just
Use my iCloud account, please. Or you can contact me through Cobra or through LinkedIn or through Facebook. Do you know there's only one Louise Monblatt? Oh, that's it.
That's
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. That is my correct phone number and correct email address. Thank you very much. So basically, you ring me up and you go, Louise, I'd like you to look at my bills, and I'll say, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. When suits you? We're booking a time. Now, for some people, I physically visit. So I'm meeting a chap next week who's about 80. I don't know exactly how old he is yet. And I'm going to see him. And he said, how much is that? And I said, it's free. So some people I will physically go and visit. I can talk to people over the phone. I can talk to people through Zoom or equivalent.
I tell them it will cost them a cup of tea.
Yeah.
The other trick is to say, what's your favourite biscuits? And then they go, Gary, all these, whatever you say, I'll bring them. So not only is it free, but I'm going to bring the biscuits.
Awesome.
And then it's a bit like going to the dentist. You think, oh, it's going to be painful, and it isn't, basically.
Yeah, that's good thing about it. Ultimately, it's a short conversation. There's no pressure, and everyone should consider it, especially at the moment. So I would highly recommend anyone having a chat with the wonderful Louise and Wonderland. So now we're going to move into the last part of the show, Louise, and obviously as you're a Cobra Club leader, you get the honour of going second, actually. So Ed, go first, you'll go second, I'll go third. When we get to your event, you do your event. So we're going to go into the weekly events now. So we're going to test your Cobra Club knowledge about leaders and event times.
Okay.
So are you ready for this?
Ready.
So your week can kick off with Ed, Monday Motivation. Come along and join me on a Monday morning. We're talking about getting ready for the week, filling your diary full of appointments. That's Ed. And Louise is muted. So this is Christie's Virtual Coffee Club, which comes on a Monday at 3 to 4. Your turn next, Louise. No? Okay, and then we can join Cobra Creative with Hannah Matarazzo every Monday, 4 to 5, covering the inspiration that is
there you go. Don't forget to unmute your mic, Louise, down at the bottom there, you'll see it. So next up is Zafran Khan, Birmingham Central, Monday Mayhem, Monday 7:30pm to 8:30pm. So Louise, take it away.
Okay, then we have the gorgeous Judith West doing Quest West, and that is on a Tuesday morning, 10:30 to 11:30.
And then you can come to the Cobra Business Quiz with David McKay. Business knowledge and have some fun. Dave's a great guy.
Awesome. Next up, we have the Make It Happen Hub with Elaine Atherton, Sales and Accountability, all those sales tickets, every Wednesday morning, 9am to 10:30am.
Then we have David Lockett, one half of David and Beverly Lockett, and he has the Investment Lounge, which is on a Wednesday morning, 10 to 11. Oh, and then
come and join She Who Is Beverly Lockett for the Hive Mastermind every Wednesday at 2 to 3:30. Come and solve those business issues.
Okay, next up is the Jigsaw Hour with the wonderful Yvonne Taylor every Thursday morning, 9am to 10am.
Then we have Chris Mason on a Thursday between 1 and 2 in the afternoon, and it's Cobra Strike.
They can do speed networking. Speed networking. Thursdays at 2:30 to 3:30. Come and do some speed networking with the inspiration that is Kath Kirkland.
Awesome.
Oh, golly!
On a Friday.
Come to First Thing Friday!
8 to 9. Have a fish and chip at the beach.
Next up, Titan Troubleshooters every Friday morning, 10am to 11am with the lovely Katrina Ellis.
Then we have... Oh,
no, go for it.
You, Ed.
No, you can do it for every Friday.
Okay, Cobra Express. Alan Platinum.
You do this one.
And then Sharon Rich, north of the border, Wine Dine Friday at 4 to 5:30.
We'll see you there. But Louise, where is there?
Well, there is here on screen. Anywhere in the world. Makes life so simple. You just log on.
Fantastic.
Easy.
And
can I just remind people, for those of you who've not come across Cobra before, please book yourself in for a virtual tour. And either Ed or Andrew will show you around Cobra Club, show you what it's all about, and just introduce you to a few of the regular members. There's nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Awesome. Thanks, Louise. It's been a great show today. It's been great having a bit more time, actually, and drilling down into those areas of concern and just finding out a bit more about you, what you do, a bit more about the club. So we enjoyed today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you all again next week, folks. Next week, we got Mr. Barry Hunt coming in. If anyone would like to come on the show, let us know. So Mr. Barry Hunt is in the seat next week. So we'll see you then, folks. Take care.
Over and out.
Thank you. Bye.
Now you're watching me, yeah, all eyes on me, 'cause I've been living the good life. So come fly with me into my fantasy, and we be loving the good life, good life.
I think this dream now just hit me. Why don't you just go there with me? Surf in the skies and splash in the clouds, dance in the crowds and laugh out loud. Holding your hand, unfolding a plan. Two souls in a land like gold in a pan. Float in the breeze or soak in the sea. Come go there with me where we both wanna be. Lie on the beach or fly in the streets. I'm trying to keep this vine in the reach. Putting everything I do aside, me and you approach. We can travel to the very end of the universe. You and me are meant to be divine energy. Living with no rules in a pool of serenity. Come be my fantasy, go away with me. Lock us up in a dream and throw away the key. Come on, live this up now. Good life, good laugh, good love now. Come on, live this with me. Good laugh, good love, we live free. Come on, live this up now. Good life, good laugh, good love now. Come on, live this with me. Good laugh, good love, we live free. We need to rise with these new eyes. Pull the disguise off of these blue skies. Lights in the city reflect off the shoreline. When you're living this life, you want more time. Rewind the time, align planets. Ride this comet to a new dynamic. Your eyes on me, mine on you. Living the good life, we do what we want.